Hello, it's Chantal here again. Welcome back to Shanti Bloom. Let me ask you this quick question. Have you ever been going through a job description and you just know deep within that you have what it takes to do this job, but almost immediately self-doubt steps in and snatches this confidence away? Why? Because of your CV. You're looking at your resume. What's on it does not reflect this type of confidence. Could this be the reason why you believe that you have something to offer yet you're stuck? Or maybe you have at least started, but you're unable to take the next step. You know, there are these external and internal factors telling you that you do not qualify. Self-doubt has a way of holding you hostage and preventing you from pursuing your purpose in life, which is why in this video of today, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 simple and very practical tips that will help you to overcome self-doubt, especially during your new beginnings. Tip number 1, feed on victory stories. Look for those stories that relate to your circumstances, to your journey, and let them inspire and encourage you. Remember, you're not alone. There are already men and women who went ahead of you and they started from nothing. Their CVs or their resumes did not look anything like where they were heading to, but they went ahead to do exploits. Let's look at Abraham. There was very little on his resume to show that he qualified to be the father of nations. Oh, I've been called to be the father of many nations. How many children do you have? 0. How old are you? 100 plus. Oh, please. Right? But he went on to become the father of nations, and he left from somebody who had self-doubt to become the father of faith. And what about Gideon? He was called to lead the Israelites to go fight the Midianites. And what did he have in his resume to show for? You know, I've been called to lead the Israelites into battle. What tribe do you come from again? Oh, my clan is the weakest in the tribe of Manasseh. And who are you again? I am the youngest in my family. Oh, please. And what of Moses? Moses was what? He had blood on his hands. Have you ever been filling a job application and you come to that section where they always want you to check a yes or a no if you've ever involved in any crimes or you have anything going against the law? And we always put no, no, no. And I always think, what of those who have to come here and put a yes? Maybe they served some time in jail. Maybe they got involved with something. It doesn't matter how the story came about, whether you were innocent or you were guilty. You know, just the fact that you have to put a yes right there can make even you not feel qualified to apply for that job. Or people can use just that to judge you and feel like, oh, we don't think you have what it takes to do the job, even if you have it. And that was Moses' situation. He had blood in his hands. He had blood, but he went ahead and he got the job done. Stories like this should inspire you. But do you know the stories that are going to encourage you the most and are going to help you take self-doubt away? They are your own victory stories, your own success stories. See, it is very important to be aware of your weaknesses, to know your limitations, to accept that you do not know it all, and to, don't bite more than you can chew. Don't go viral before you can handle it. But it is even more important to be aware of your strengths, to know your abilities, and to be able to accept and celebrate those little victories, the little wins in your life. You know, there's this thing I heard from Jim Rohn? I'm going to check the name and put it on the screen, but I think he said something that went like, it is a mature thing to be able to accept and celebrate your little wins and victories, but it is an immature thing to demand that people celebrate your victories. Now, let me share with you a little story, something that happened to me recently, and you're going to get the point I'm trying to make. I was on one of Tiffany Harrison's live, and she coaches YouTubers and she gives these great reviews and great feedbacks that help us grow. And so on this live, she was kind of pointing out a few trends that she has noticed on a couple of channels, and she happened to mention mine. And immediately I felt so awkward. I know a lot of people do feel that way at times. You are not sure how to respond or react to compliments when, especially when thrown at you right into your face. But the worst thing is that after that, I thought to myself, what if, people choose to check out these channels that she mentioned, and then they come to my channel and they're like, what was Tiffany talking about? Right? Immediately self-doubt stepped in. Now, here was a compliment that I was supposed to embrace and allow it to encourage me and make me believe that, oh, I am doing something that it is blessing people. At least somebody is getting something out of it to encourage me to keep going. But here was I allowing fear and allowing self-doubt to almost make these compliments go to waste. But thank God it didn't go to waste. It was such an encouragement, and I was able to at least see something like, oh, something I thought was a weakness, it is a strength, and maybe I can polish it up, I can make it better. So allow those compliments to sink in. Identify those little wins and victories. Celebrate them. Let them reassure you that you've got what it takes to continue on this journey. Now, I'm not encouraging us to go swelling up in pride, because the Bible tells us that let no man think of himself more highly than he should. And we know that our God hates the spirit of pride. Have you ever been around this person who compliments themselves so much that you're left with no more compliments to give them? Or somebody who is seemingly saying these humble words, but then the pride underneath can still seep through. You can still smell the pride. That is why God says that he will judge our motives and not really our action. Many times, a lot of people can be operating under the spirit of pride and mask it up as self-confidence. And on the other hand, others can be suffering from self-doubt and lack of self-esteem and mask it up as humility. So let us make sure that our hearts are in the right place. Find that balance. Tip number 2, don't ignore the feeling. Address it. If you look at Abraham, Gideon, Moses that we just mentioned, they addressed the source of their self-doubt. Abraham said, hey, age is my source of self-doubt. How can this happen? I'm 100 years old. And Gideon, he had his own source of self-doubt. It was class differences. I am the weakest clan in Manasseh. I am the smallest in the family. He felt like a nobody. He felt like he was small. He came from the wrong side of town, right? And sometimes that is what could be bothering you. And he even went ahead to give fleas upon fleas on God, like, God, prove it to me, please prove it to me that you have called me. How many of us are sitting down and waiting for this divine revelation, this magical word that is going to come to us to prove that we have been called by God before we get up and start doing that which we're supposed to do? And then Moses also said, oh God, who am I? And God was like, forget about who you are, think about who I am. When you go say that I am has sent you. And he even still said, even when you have told me what to go and say, I still have issues with saying it. I have problems with speaking. They addressed what was their source of self-doubt. Find out the root cause of your self-doubt. Is it my physical appearance? Has it got to do with my lack of education, lack of skill? Has it got to do with my past experiences? When you identify the source, you'll be able to address it accordingly. If your source of self-doubt is physical appearance, then I would like to remind you that God was so angry with Samuel for trying to choose Eliab over David to be king because of appearance. And God was like, I don't do it that way. I look at the inside, I don't look at the outside. And that's why on this channel, I always say that let's bloom from the inside out. Because when you bloom from the inside out, you do not only survive, but you do what? You thrive and you flourish. If you've been watching this channel, you should be able to finish that line. If you look keenly, you will see that God has been working more on your inside than on your outside, because he wants to mature you, he wants to prune. He's been working on your heart, he's been working on your character, getting you ready to be used as a vessel unto honor. When God has to use you as a vessel unto honor, all he needs is the obedience, the availability, and the humility. He really doesn't care what you look like, where you come from, and how you sound like. And for you, whose problem is a lack of formal education, I would also want to remind you that some of the wisest and smartest people who have gone on to do exploits never really had that privilege to have a formal education or to go so far with their education. So that should encourage you that if you're in that position where you cannot obtain that formal education, that should not hold you back. And on the other hand, if you feel like you are able to still do it, but you are holding back because of age, like Abraham, there are a lot of people who have still gone on to, get an education even later on in life. So if they did it, you can do it. And the same goes for the lack of skills. Many times when we are told to identify our talents, we think of these big things. We think of those things that we have great mastery in. And because that is how we are thinking, we tend to look around and say, well, I don't think I really have talents. You do. It doesn't have to be those things that you are so great at. maybe it is still at that initial stage. It still needs to be built, it still needs to be refined. You still need to sharpen those skills. Let's take, for example, me here on YouTube, right? When I just started, one of the sources of my self-doubt came from lack of skills. I did not really know how to edit that well. I did not know how to be comfortable on camera. Even that, I am still learning. In fact, there's so many things on this platform that is an ever learning process. And so there are just some skills that you have to learn. And as I am learning and improving on things, it is gradually taking that self-doubt away and replacing it with some self-confidence. Let me tell you that some things that no amount of words of affirmation and positive thinking is going to help you. You need to get up and sharpen those skills. And unfortunately, there are people whose self-doubt comes from their past experiences. Maybe you had a traumatic childhood. Maybe you have just gone through life with one bad experience to the next, one failure to the next, and it has just shaped your thought pattern in a very negative way. So in that case, you know that you need the renewing of your mind. You need a new mindset. And where else can we renew our minds? In the Word of God. Because that is where you are going to get your true identity. The Word of God will tell you who you are, what you have inside of you, and it will tell you that you have what it takes to finish the journey. Number 3, talk to a trustworthy friend. If there's something that we need the most in today's day and time, it's a friend that is trustworthy, a friend that sticks closer than a brother. So find people in your life who can look you in the eye and tell you when you are wrong. But at the same time, they're able to acknowledge and celebrate you when you do right. They're able to celebrate your victories and your successes with you. And at the same time, they can offer their shoulder for you to cry on when you need encouragement. And people like that are usually also very vulnerable. They are not afraid to be transparent and also share with you their own areas of self-doubt, and that can be very encouraging. Or maybe they can just actively listen to you without judging your feelings. You need somebody like that in your life. I don't desire to have too many of them. Even if you do, you may not find. Tip number 4, stay away from perfectionism. Pay more attention to the need that you want to meet and not how perfect you can meet that need. The spirit of perfection will make you feel like a fake, will make you feel like a fraud. Because to be honest with you, no matter how much we plan and we organize, there's always that day that things just don't turn out the way that I thought. There's always that week that the way things are unfolding is nothing like how I had planned and I had thought things were going to unfold. And right there, perfection will start to accuse you like, you see, you don't have what it takes. Because perfection is an all or nothing rule. It's either you have cut all the T's and dotted all the I's, or you haven't. Now, please don't click out without listening to this. The fact that I'm encouraging us to be proud of our little stories, to not undermine our little resumes. It does not take away the spirit of excellence. It doesn't take away the power of preparation. And excellence means that you should give it your best. You're not just going to sit back and say, well, I'm not into all this perfect thing, and remain a mediocre. You're going to give your best. That opportunity, that day, that week, you give it your best. And the thing that happens is that because you give today your best tomorrow will improve. It will be better than the best of today. And that is how you grow in excellence. And talking about preparation, how many of you will go lie down on a bed and allow yourself to be cut up by somebody who says that I've never been to the four walls of a school? You won't, because there has to be some level of preparation. The point I'm making here is that even the greatest surgeon once started their career with a small resume. All that they had on that resume, all that they had to prove that they can really cut up on their first human being is that they had successfully done a surgery on a dummy. So I'm encouraging you that no matter how small your story is, with your little dummy resume, it is enough for you to start. It is enough for you to keep going. Now, take note that you will never be perfect and you will never be self-sufficient. Let us be very careful with some of the motivational speeches we just take in from out there and some of the words of affirmation, because at times it does not align with the Word of God. We will be self-confident, not self-sufficient. And even that confidence is not even in yourself. It is in God who lives in you. He is holy and so you are holy. He is able and so you are able. Because you carry His identity, you carry His image. Without Him, you can do nothing. So if we stop relying on ourselves and trying to be so perfect, it will really help to take that self-doubt away. The last but not the least is to take action. Do not sit there and wait for the feeling to go away. Keep doing, keep loving, keep serving, keep growing. And before you know it, you would have overgrown or outgrown that self-doubt. And again, I said, never plan it out your way. You never know the path that God is going to take you. What you think will open that door for you may not be what will open that door for you. But for any door to open in the first place, you have to act. You have to get up and start to do something. If you're waiting that I want to be credible before I start, where will that credibility come from? He just needs you to trust and obey. Start to act now. So please take note of these 5 tips and try to apply them. While the feeling of self-doubt may not suddenly just leave you and go to level 0, if you apply these 5 tips, it will prevent those feelings from overpowering you, from keeping you stuck, keeping you hostage, and preventing you from pursuing your purpose in life. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please share it to your friends, your family. There is somebody out there carrying a lot of greatness, but that greatness is being held hostage by the spirit of fear. So share so that somebody will be able to rise up and face this giant and conquer this giant, this challenge of a new beginning. They'll be able to go down that path and pursue that dream, that purpose for their lives. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.